So the project I'm reporting on is my first experience into entrepreneurship education. So it's like initiating me into entrepreneurship education. And it's a project I carried out as a Fulbright scholar, a Fulbright alumni for sponsored by International Education, Institute of International Education, USA. As a background, Kaduna State is considered the most terrorized state in Nigeria in recent times. And it's not in the Northeast that has the great terrorist attack of the Boko Haram, but 2020 report has it that Kaduna State has more deaths from insecurity, even more than Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa states put together, which are in the northeastern region. And this has also been, addition to this is also incessant attack by Fulani herdsmen in southern Kaduna against the southern Kaduna communities around farming land and grazing land. So this has also resulted to several deaths. And for these attacks, there's a report of about 3 million internally displaced persons. And I got involved with an internally displaced persons camp known as Angwanzau IDP camp in Gonigora Chicken Local Government area of Kaduna State that has well over 2,000 displaced persons coming around there to receive guidance and support of any kind. What I observed there is that there's a very poor access to education. The only structure there has one room that is being used for all the primary classes from nursery to primary 5. And all of them are congested into the same classroom. It's in my slide. I was wishing that you could be seeing the slides. So this raises the problem of my work or my research. One is the large population of displaced farming communities with little or no means of income, because as they leave their settlements, their lands of origin, where they are settled in Gonigora, doesn't have sufficient land to sustain their farming profession. So they don't have funds anymore to sustain the family, not talk about sustaining their children in schools. So most of their children had to drop out of schools. So as such, we have large population of displaced youths without access or means for higher education. This also raises the higher risk of unemployment and attraction to the cycle of violence in the state. Many of these unemployed youths are being used by the insurgents and get into other crimes in the state. So seeing this problem, as an Fulbright alumni, I applied for the Institute of International Education Centennial Fellowship of 2022-23, and I got the fellowship targeting refugee and displaced persons' access to higher education. So my project was to create this bridging center for access to higher education. And with the grant, I also received a lot of capacity support from Center for Critical Thinking, Teaching and Learning, Nigerian Defense Academy, where I lecture. I'm also the director of the center. So I made use of a lot of the resources within the center. So this created the foundational partnership for the intervention to address this problem of educational access. So the objective was to establish educational access, higher educational access for internally displaced persons. And the initial goal was to create a computer-based comfortable center where the IDP youth can come in to access. That was the initial objective. So based on this, I went into field study. I had a field survey originally before I started off. And then when the program started, I had to use action research to work on improving entrepreneurship education, because I really didn't know much about entrepreneurship education. So for the field survey, I used the non-probabilistic snowballs sampling method to engage with 5 focus groups. And these were made up of staff of the International Organization for Migration, who first led me to this cluster of IDPs. And I also had to engage with the Agwan Zawu IDP camp coordinators. They have some group of coordinators from different communities where the IDPs are settled. And we identified the challenges and the situations of their handicap. Then we got the IDP youths together. They were very enthusiastic to get involved, get engaged in online learning, but they didn't have the resources. The building they have didn't have the space for computer. It was, in fact, the building, I put it in the slide, it doesn't have shutters. It's an unfinished building, so to say. And many of them don't even know how to operate computers. A lot of them don't even have Android phones. So it was a challenge area. What do we do with these youths that are so incapacitated financially, capacity-wise, and resource-wise? So I had to engage with the staff of the National Open University of Nigeria and found out a number of courses they could offer online, but they were not going to offer that free. So I tried other institutions and I couldn't get such free offer of courses. And I resorted to the military community that was closest to the IDP camp. So I could get a safe place to keep the computers, to set up the center. So eventually we got a center, a classroom in Naowa Primary School in 312 Atlari Barrack in Kakuri, Kaduna. So that's where we set up the bridging center. And with that, we started considering the online courses we saw. Most of them were running for minimum was 2-year program. And they were running for traditional certification of either OND or bachelor's. And the grant was for 1 year and was not going to cover the cost of fee for the pupils. And the students didn't have the resources to continue if we ran for a year. So I continued interaction with the staff of now in the Open University, and we came up with this idea of establishing the place as an entrepreneurial educational center. So that was how we now set up the Bridging Center for Entrepreneurial and Peace Education. Because of the peculiar challenges of the IDPs, I figured that even if they go to do entrepreneurship programs somewhere else, it wasn't going to address their socio-emotional challenges because they are really broken and disgruntled set of youths. So I felt we needed to incorporate peace education in the form of critical thinking and socio-emotional guidance for them. So we came up with the program, which is a short-term 6 to 8 months post-secondary entrepreneurship and peace education center. And then this would also incorporate, because we started with target on online engagement, I still felt we should have a bit of the digital skill. So we had a compulsory hybrid of digital and artisanry entrepreneurial skills with critical thinking and social-emotional coaching integrated into it. Then the partnership we also came up with the idea of using entrepreneurial professionals who will partner with us for training and possible internship for the students so that they could actually gain financial independence at the end of the 8 months. So with that structure, we were able to matriculate 63 students at the first set of enrollment. The enrollment now started off the action research because I was there. Initially, we had about 100 students, which was quite overwhelming for just one classroom. So I had to use a Google Doc registration process to win down. So I gave them 1 week within which they should register. And after that 1 week, we closed the registration and we got only 63, which we could manage. But then I was stuck with this group of young people and I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship training, and I had to get them through an entrepreneurship training. I could try with peace education, but not entrepreneurship education. So that's where my action research started as a critical self-reflection in the process so that I could arrive at what works and what doesn't work. So with that understanding, I found out that entrepreneurship education should provide opportunities for students to develop an entrepreneurial mindset in order to learn skills to embrace, assess, and navigate new opportunities in a dynamic and changing environment. So that strengthened my commitment to digital skills in addition to artisanry skills. So I also found out that effective teaching methods in entrepreneurship education seek to develop students' entrepreneurial knowledge, skills, and capabilities through experiential learning. So that is what we're getting from the professionals that we attach them to. So with that, I also found from Hadi et al., I found 7 qualities for effective entrepreneurial education, which were the strengthening the curriculum, strengthening the skills, capabilities, and mindsets of the students learning in authentic real-world context with action-oriented projects or problem solving. Students are provided role models or mentoring for entrepreneurship from the community. There's also the school-wide broader focus on value for innovation, creativity, and being enterprising in preparing for a dynamic context and ever-changing real-world environment. There are also the qualities of practical skills taught through students creating a new business in a fail-safe school environment. Then there's the students should frequently work in teams in entrepreneurship education. Then the last 2, which is effective teaching of numeracy and literacy, and learning should include financial literacy, where things I couldn't pick on at that first set, but I am working on it in the second set. So all these qualities I tried to implement by getting them getting the entrepreneurs in the community to take them in. They train in real-world environments. They go to their training institutions and engage in the work they do. When they get contracts, they join them to do this contract. So it's helped them a lot. I found I helped them a lot. And then the critical thinking and socio-emotional coaching that we're doing for them was conditioning their mind towards creativity and innovation and the enterprise. And we were working entirely on their mindset so that they have an entrepreneurial mindset and have a coexistence and collaborative mindset with other people in the community. So these were taken from what I was getting from entrepreneurship education literature. And we also sold the idea to them that they could form teams. In the last 2 months, they could form teams to develop new businesses while they were still under their trainers. But this didn't take on very well in the first set. Only 2 sets came up with something in that line, but now we're hoping to work more on that. So with that, we came up with a curriculum. The curriculum is in 3 sets. The group A is a compulsory course for everyone, where we do introduction to computer, we do critical thinking in personal life and community, we do sound judgment and decision-making skills, value orientation for youth in contemporary Nigeria, and some of such generic courses. Then we also have the 2 digital skills and artisanry skills. The digital skills are capacity-based elective because they were tested. Those that can cope with web design went on to web design or graphic design. Those that couldn't cope, because many of them came to the program never having used computers before. So most of those ones ended up with digital literacy. Then the artisanry skills, we were able to get tailoring and fashion design, catering and event management, paint making and painting, then electrical and electronics works. So we also have this phased program. Phase 1 is computer literacy. Phase 2
just 1 minute now, please. Just 1 minute now. Thank you.
Okay. So with all those, we also built partnership with the IIE sponsorship, my school, military community, Kaduna Hub. We used all those professionals we used. We graduated 54 students eventually. Some of the IDPs dropped out because of fund, and they all had shared skills in both digital and entrepreneurial skills. At the point of graduation, some of them were already getting some jobs. Some of them in catering, some of them in electrical electronics were already getting some jobs that they were already making some financial gains from. So now we have started the second set. Unfortunately, because of the limited resources we have only 25 enrollment sustained by the Sustainability Fund got from the donations. We have introduced screening tests this time around, and we have confirmed inadequacies that is making us introduce the literacy and numeracy lessons. And we are working to improve on team business trials so that we can form more teams who can bring together the two skills, two entrepreneurial skills bases, and develop business while they are still in the program. So in conclusion, I would say that Bridging Center for Entrepreneurial Skill for Internally Displaced and Barrack Youth indeed provides bridges at several levels. It's bridging partnership between academia, industry, and community. It's bridging access to healing, growth, and inclusion for internally displaced youths. It's bridging access to further education for post-secondary students with financial challenges or low competencies for university education. It's also bridging artisanry and digital entrepreneurial skills for preparing the students for current digitalized business environment. So we also can conclude that the integrated curriculum fosters sustainability in entrepreneurship education by preparing students for current realities of digitalized world. Then again, effective entrepreneurship education, which will equip the youths with functional knowledge and skills to build up their character, attitude, and vision, requires active partnership between the academia, industry, and community, both local and international.
Thank you very much.
Also requires engineering entrepreneurship education with infusion of critical thinking and digital skills, as well as literacy and numeracy lessons. Thank you very much.
That was a wonderful, you have an awful job on your hands, trust me.